What's going on, guys? Seth and Chevy here. We just watched episode 7 of Hell's Paradise. If you haven't seen this episode, you should go check it out because we're going to be going full spoilers ahead from this point out. So let's do a real quick recap. This is a very straightforward episode, but we got a lot of information out of it. Essentially, Gabby Maru and co, Sagiri, everybody find the hermit village, and they come upon a little girl who ends up running from them. They pursue her, end up having to fight this bonsai monster Groot guy who is attempting to defend her. They're able to capture her. She cries. They let her down. They come back to the Groot guy, and he says that he needs her back. He'll exchange that for taking them back to the village where they have food, baths, all that stuff, and he's able to convince them of that. They go back there. They kind of regroup, start figuring things out. They eat. They're hanging out and start asking questions, in which he lets them know that the island has 3 sections, the forest, all the way from the beach, the forest, back to the center of the islands, like some misty mountain place. He also says from there that the elixir of life does exist. It's called Tan. It comes from the island through all the people who are being turned into plants. They turn into Tan, which is the elixir of life. But Tan is defended by Tensens, who are, I think, people who have already ingested the elixir of life. So they're like godlike creatures. And on that note, in the beginning of the episode, 2 prisoners, the guy and his brother who are working together from the last episode, ran into 2 of these Tensens who were having a good time with their juicy fruit. And they got very upset that they were, one of them got upset that they were interrupted by humans. And they essentially took them both out. It seems they're probably alive still. But anyway, they dispatched them, threw them in a hole where it looks like they will probably just turn into more of these plants from there on out. But the shogunate brother survived the fall and is trying to help his brother as vines are trying to take him over. So they're still alive, likely. We'll see if they get out of the hole. So yeah, Tensens exist. Tan is a thing. Elixir of life. And then the rest of the episode, after getting that info dump and knowing that Elixir of Life has a location that they have to go find, and they probably won't get off the island alive because Tensens want to kill everybody who show up, we get a moment with the little girl in the bathhouse with Gabby Maru and Sagiri, where they kind of realize she has been on this island alone this whole time, so she hasn't really been socialized. She hasn't really figured out how to do things properly as like humans would be doing it, and they kind of show her in a fun way, washing her hair and taking care of herself. Gabby Maru reflects back on his wife and her scars, and they notice the little girl has scars, so he lets her know that it's okay to have scars, which I guess Sagiri said was a respectable thing he said, and I think that's about it. They kind of bond over that. He said something at the very end of the episode. I completely forgot. Do you remember?
Taking a moment to like relax and like get his energy back kind of reaffirmed his purpose.
Yeah. Which the show, every episode has some moment where they're talking about why they're here and what they're doing. But they are one step closer towards the objective here. And we are rolling forward. What do we think?
I think it was a good episode. Got a lot of information out of it, though kind of as Sagiri had mentioned, maybe not. Or not Sagiri, maybe it was Gamer. I can't remember. One of them said the information was a bit fragmented, but they at least have like an idea of the way the island is constructed in a very basic way, and a general idea where the elixir is and potential threats. So
Yeah, a lot of intel.
Yeah. It was also interesting that it was like beach forest, town, and then a mist area.
Yeah, that was the second layer, was the hermit village thing.
Yeah. And then with the immortal beings, seeing the one just change genders on the fly to fight was kind of interesting. I wonder if they were originally human or if they are products of the island. It's unanswered question there, but They're definitely very different from, because presumably the chieftain of Gabimaru's original village also had gotten his hands on the elixir at some point. He's not like a beautiful, man or woman.
Mm-hmm.
He's just the same as he always was. He's just, doesn't die. So
Maybe there's a one consumption thing and multiple keep consuming thing there.
well, possibly. Also, the tree guy had said that he had been blessed by Tan as well. And
Yeah, because he's able to regen.
had received a different blessing. So I wonder if he was also a person one time and now he's a tree person.
Yeah, maybe.
So, a lot of questions there with partial answers. Kind of was good because, otherwise it's a bit of a slower episode. Which, if you're going to have a slower episode, you need to have humor, you need to have information, and they did both. So I appreciate
It's also
that.
worth mentioning too that we saw the elixir of life in action with one of the Tensen who got the top of their body cut off, and they regenerated with like roots.
Yeah, and again with the tree guy he ripped his own arm off
Yeah.
and it grew back. So, it also was interesting to see just how powerful, not even just the Tenzin, but like even the little girl are, getting further into this island now. She was very capable of defending herself. She's just obviously still a child, so like, mentally there's going to be some differences in strategy and stuff like that. She's pretty straightforward with just trying to like punch.
Mega punch and fucking the jujitsu, goddamn.
Yeah, the over the
Throw
shoulder
over,
throw. Yeah. So she can obviously handle herself, but also like how old is she? She's been a child forever. She also blessed by the Tan or whatever. They didn't really go into it. So I did like the bathhouse scene. It was a very like heartfelt moment where obviously Siguri got to be kind of maternal in that regard, and using some past experiences to kind of like bring a little bit of human culture to this little girl, while also showing Gabimaru, you don't always have to be ready to kill all the time, type of thing. And then him being able to, he's not like a lecherous dude. So like every time he actually interacts with people, he's treating them like people, which is kind of nice too. So when he's talking to this little girl and even with Siguri there, with the scar comment and saying, looks aren't really that important type of deal. It's kind of a moment, as even Siguri noticed, like he's got a good dude in there. He just obviously in his situation in life was raised to be a killer. So there's a lot of coldness there too. Interesting character development for sure. But yeah, overall it was a fun episode. We got off screened on some ninjutsu,
Yep.
but
I was gonna bring that up.
it is what it is, I suppose. So
Yeah, I'm not even at this point like annoyed by it. I just think it's weird that the show, like 3 or 4 episodes now, have decided to hint towards an event happening and not showing it. But it's whatever. If that's the way they're choosing to tell the story, then that's just the storytelling method they're using. But yeah, that would have been cool to see the purple-haired chick do whatever she's going to do when she greased herself up.
she got slimy.
And then also, what happened with the Tensen, even though I don't think we really need to see that, just because the way that they played that off played more into, what happened to them? And then as they're discussing the Tensen, showing the aftermath of, or at least what happened in that situation. That worked for me in terms of storytelling, because I'm not interested in that fight anyway. We already know these Tensen people are going to be more powerful.
Which is better build up. Than,
exactly, yeah. It's like
drinking a potion, getting slimy, and then all of a sudden showing up like later. Like
that was just completely like, I was like, okay, I guess that worked. But that's fine. The episode was good. I liked it enough. I think the bathhouse part was the best part. Not just even that part, but even when they're talking with the Groot guy, getting some info, getting things more solidified, and where they're going, what they need to do, getting some backstory on the island, a little bit of lore there. And then the half the episode was kind of the bathhouse though, which is interesting, and so it was a bit lighthearted. It doesn't really follow the same formula as like Demon Slayer, where they build up to some crazy shit, and then we got to get that comedic more downtime. This is just like things are happening, some downtime, and it was fine. I think it establishes a little bit with the characters, but I don't still think these characters are super deep. So it's not illuminating a whole lot, but it was definitely a nice touch. Like you kind of mentioned, it's kind of humanizes the characters and gives an element of fun, bringing in some, typical anime kid who's just like, oh, as her hair is getting washed. That's cute. But as for the rest of the episode with the Tensen and seeing what happened with those criminals, I'm curious to see what happens with them next. When it first showed them on the ground, I was like, did they really just kill them off? Like, they've already killed off characters earlier in the show, but I figure those guys might last a little longer because they kind of built up their background a bit. But apparently they're in the hole. So we'll find out next episode what happens in the hole.
About to become life juice.
Actually, that was probably one of my favorite things about the episode when it comes to the story is finding out that the flowers and the people, them not dying but just turning into flowers, and that turns into tan. I think that is a much more interesting thing than just the visual aesthetic, which I thought was cool. It's like, ooh, that's eerie. Yeah. They turn into flowers. But that there's a purpose to that makes it more interesting to me, because now there's a source. Because I was thinking, like, there's just an elixir of life. If someone drank it, why is it still around?
Yeah.
But if it's regenerating, and you bring people in, they're seeking it, and they turn into tan. It's kind of an interesting turn of events for the storytelling.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
I actually liked that info dump. I am curious about how they're going to fight the Tensen. Are they going to drink a little bit of the elixir of life to fight them too? Because if they're immortal, they're going to have to find some kind of kryptonite or join them on their level. But
or it's just going to be a game of cat and mouse, where they're just constantly trying to stay away from them and maybe fighting them off long enough to get away type of thing. So
as the Tensen are explaining how they're immortal and their move and what they're going to do next,
hopefully not, but yeah.
Dodging everything and going, I got to figure this out. We'll find out. Yeah. But yeah, overall, pretty straightforward episode, which I kind of appreciate. Sometimes some of these episodes have felt a little bloated and a lot of things happening. This was kind of nice because we got pretty much two main factors, the Tensen introduction and then the bathhouse part. So it was a straightforward episode. It was a good episode. And definitely curious to see what happens in the next episode, because if the show's doing one thing, I got some gripes with the show so far, but if it's doing one thing, it's every episode, I feel like things are being revealed. And so there's something to keep watching and find out about.
Yeah, you get to learn constantly.
Yeah, as it's going forward. I'm not watching the show for the action at this point. I'm watching it to find out more about the island, and it's been good in that regard. So, yeah, I think it's probably the biggest reason why I'm still watching, because I'm not in love with any of the characters yet, and the action's definitely not the reason I'm watching the show. So it's more so like the mystery and how they're going to get off the island, because that's the interesting factor. With the rules, only one person's going to be able to leave. We have multiple people still. Who's going to be able to even make it to the end? Obviously, you're rooting for Gabby Maru because he's got, more on the line than somebody who's just like, I want to get the thing and get out of here. Right. And he's trying to get back to his wife and stuff. So we will find out. I'm curious, do you know if this is going to be more than one season?
I assume so, but I'm pretty positive the manga is done, so they can do the whole show if they want to.
I feel like they probably should. I don't know how, like, once you get off the island, if you do, what happens from there?
Yeah.
You just follow the story of Gabby Maru after the island?
Yeah, I'm pretty positive the manga is over, because just like, I think Demon Slayer is also over. And we're not talking about that, obviously, but like, thinking of things that can be like finished as animes. So.
Every once in a while, YouTube's like the whole like a video pop up and recommend it's like the whole story of Demon Slayer. I'm like, no, I'm good. I don't need somebody to explain that to me.
Welcome to bullet dodging now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's freaky. I'm like, I don't want to know anything, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, but overall, cool episode. Looking forward to the next one. Anything else you want to say?
No.
All right. Well, let us know in the comments what you guys think of episode 7 of Hell's Paradise. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What did you like about it the most? What stood out to you? What do you think about the Tensen? What do you think about Tan? What do you think about the story that is unveiling in front of us? What do you think about these new characters that just got introduced? The two Tensen, the little girl, Groot, and what are you hoping to see in the next episode? If you've read the manga, we haven't, so please no spoilers. Everybody's been really good about that so far, so I appreciate it, because we want to watch blind, because it's more fun that way. Yeah, we got to do a Demon Slayer review next, so stay tuned for that. But until the next episode, I've been Seth, this has been Chevy. We'll talk to you guys later.